Gospel text, 21st chapter of John, is one that I hold very dear to my heart. Here, the risen Jesus himself comes to Peter, this denier, and makes wholeness, healing, and transformation available to him because no one else can. And if you allow this story to play itself out in your heart, it is a heartbreaking story. Peter, if you can imagine this, he says to his friends, "I'm going fishing." These are words of failure. These are words of profound soul disappointment. Peter says, "I'm going fishing," because he is counting those 3 years that he knew Jesus as lost. A lost cause, lost hope, lost time. It was all a delusion. It was a disaster on his part. And even worse, it showed how spineless Peter was. It showed to himself how weak and undependable he himself was in the face of perhaps the very best thing that had ever happened to him, his encounter with Jesus. "Yeah, I want to go fishing," says Peter. And his friends, echoing their own inner turmoil, reply, "We will go with you." And notice here, church, as these fellows are off to go fishing, that this is the third time that the risen Jesus had met with them. And such is the state of their lives. You'd like to think, oh, well, he showed up once. That would be great. He's risen. Okay, we can move on now. We're happy. 1, 2, 3 times. And after the second time, they are ready to just go back to what they had been doing before, their old line of work. Why? I'll tell you why I think. I think the reason they were going back is because they probably thought they were going crazy. To see this risen one coming back to them again and again must have been so disorienting. And must have been, frankly, almost unbearable to experience. Maybe fishing was the best remedy for this craziness. Maybe the feel of those heavy nets in their arms and the rocking of the boat and maybe the flopping of the caught fish was just the right bit of reality to ground them and bring them back to something that they knew for sure. And maybe, at the same time, fishing would numb their pain. Well, the risen Lord comes again this third time. And I wonder to myself, did they really not recognize him? Third time? Or was this perhaps some silent agreement that these disciples all had, that they were not going to respond to this phantom that keeps coming back to them, greeting them with words of peace and love, reassuring them that it's really him? Oh, no, we'll just ignore the ghost on the beach. They did not recognize him. This phantom who calls them children. Who else would it be? Children. He keeps coming back. And as he keeps coming back, no doubt these disciples wonder why, after they had abandoned him, after they had denied that they had known him, why would he keep coming back with words of love, with words of peace? That is actually harder to accept than one merely risen from the dead. One merely risen from the dead, okay, great, it's an apparition and it passed by. No, the apparition keeps coming back to these people who profoundly do not deserve to be told, "Peace be with you." Even if you wanted to deny the possibility or the reality of the resurrection, one at least has to say that the emotional situation that the disciples find themselves in is stunningly authentic. Well, 3 times Peter is asked by the risen Lord, "Do you love me more than these? Do you love me? Do you love me?" Peter is given this chance by Jesus to say the words directly to him that each time unburdens him of those 3 denials. Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. You know that I love you. Here is this wonderful thing. Pay attention, church. When he is having this conversation, do you love me? You know that I love you. Woven into that is Jesus revealing he is still invested in Peter. He says, "I've got work for you to do. Feed my sheep, tend my lambs, take care of these people that you are a leader for. I've got work for you to do." And somehow Jesus says, "I still want you to work with me." And then the best words of all, the words that really are the invitation to anybody to be a disciple. "Follow me," he says to this one who has been restored. "Follow me." Peter gets to start over. How many times in our lives we've wanted to just start over and look at everything that has passed us by, however we failed, however we have disappointed ourselves, all the regrets that we might have, the real brokenness that we might be carrying, how life-giving it is to be set told in your heart of hearts by God, you get to start over. Let's do it again. I have faith in you. Follow me. Peter gets to start over not because he's strong-willed, not because he's a nice person, not because he figured out how to do it. Peter only gets to start over because the risen one made it possible. And so I think if you and I had asked Peter that day after he had met the risen Lord, well, have you experienced the salvation of God in your life? You know what the answer would have been. The experience of salvation in your life and mine means that God gets to put you back together with his help. Maybe you have a story of God's grace putting you back together again, making you a stronger and more faithful disciple, especially if you thought you were broken and not worth much. Maybe you have a sense that our baptismal covenant reveals to you a roadmap for being a disciple of Jesus, not just a ho-hum kind of disciple, but frankly, in the words of that covenant comes your chance to be a hero and a witness of the Christian faith. Maybe you are wondering what it feels like to experience wholeness in your life. Maybe there is someone you know who is their own worst enemy, whose life is so broken it looks unfixable. The experience of salvation is known not just as individuals, but in relationships and in community. Salvation is experienced when you are surprised by the love that you receive from others into your heart and the love that must come out. That is the power of experiencing the salvation of God in real time, in the flesh, in this real world. Salvation is known in courageous compassion. Salvation is known in fearless forgiveness and sacrificial servanthood. Salvation is known when people put up with you, knowing that you will one day grow up. Salvation is experienced as a gift over a lifetime. Salvation is God inviting us again and again and again. Follow me. Follow me. I want you back. Let's put you back together again. And the soul says, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. May the salvation of God burn brightly in your life this morning. Every day of your life, may your heart be ready to proclaim that experience of salvation to those who need it